Hello everyone, welcome to Snowflake channel, and today I'll be continuing the warehouse study which we have discussed in the previous video. And in this video I'll be covering the warehouse related object from the Snowflake inbound database, and also I have created a dashboard for the warehouse related queries, and at the last we'll discuss on the types of warehouse grants. And coming to the first topic, which is warehouse monitoring object. We know that when the Snowflake account is open, so that time two databases will come by default. One is Snowflake inbound database, which is called a Snowflake application. When you check the types of databases, so the Snowflake is a inbound database to this account, and also the Snowflake sample data is the shared database which is provided by the Snowflake. So these are the two databases which will come by default. One is Snowflake and other is Snowflake sample data. So what does this Snowflake inbound database will have is, so it is having a schema called account usage, alert, BCR rollout and other schemas, and in that the two most important schemas are account usage and the organization usage, which will be mostly helpful for the 80% of the metadata object what for which the whatever the operation or the feature which we will be using in the Snowflake. If I have to discuss on the objects which will cover the warehouse related information, so those are present in the account usage schema as well in the organization usage schema. So this account usage schema is particular to only this account, and this organization usage schema will have information about all the accounts. So as we know that organization will come on the top, and below many accounts can be created, and in the account databases can be created, and in databases schemas will be created, and in schemas all the other object can be created. It could be tables, views, sequence, and the list goes on. So here in this case I have listed the warehouse related object. So these are the object from the account usage schema which will cover the warehouse usage. Here warehouse usage in terms of cost, credit, and how much time the warehouse was in up mode, and how many clusters were triggered, and how much the warehouse has been utilized, what was the size of the warehouse. So all these kind of information can be found out using this account usage related schema. And if you wanted to list the all the warehouses, then you can run show warehouses command. And to list all the warehouses, we should first know that the role which I am using here, it is account admin. The account admin is having the monitor access on all these warehouses. When the role is having the monitor access, so that role can list all the warehouses. Here we can see that there are 6 warehouses are created, and the account admin is having the access to all these warehouses. And coming to the topic, so here, so these were the object which can be used for getting the information related to the warehouse. So the first one which will talk about the query history. So this query history will contain when the user will execute the queries using the role assigned to him. If I run this query history, please note that I am running the full data. So I have executed very less queries, and if you wanted to see the high level data, you can run select top 100 records, or you can just use the limit function to restrict few number of records. So this query history is having the query ID which is unique to the query execution, and the query text and database name. Here you can see the user is Interior. He executed the show warehouses command using the account admin role, and here it is using the compute warehouse, and here you can see that warehouse size is null. It means that this query is not being used any of the credits, or this warehouse is not triggered for running this query. So when the DDL operation or show command or describe, or when we will run the metadata operation object, so that time the warehouse won't be utilizing. And if you wanted to see what are the columns present in the query history, for that you can just click on that object from this menu, Example, go to the account usage, views, and query history. So here it will list the column name and its data type. And if you wanted to list all the columns and its data type, you can use describe view and the view name. Here you could see all the columns name and its data type, and is it a null column or non-nullable column. So, and is it a primary key, unique key. So all these information can be found out using the describe function. And what all things we will get it from the query history which are useful for the warehouse are the warehouse name, warehouse size. So this warehouse size will come into picture when, so what size the warehouse is using for running the query. Example, now I ran the describe command, so that time here you could see that this warehouse is still not active, but still we got the result for the describe function. It means that this query ID and this query text will be logged into query history. However, it won't be using warehouse to fetch the result, as this is the metadata operation where the describe, show commands and DDL commands, all these kind of operation won't require warehouse to be in active state, or it won't consume any credits. And the same goes with the warehouse event history. So what this will have is, so this warehouse event history, it talks about the warehouse operation. Warehouse operation in the terms of when the warehouse started provisioning and how much time it took, and resuming the new cluster and suspending the warehouse and suspending the cluster. So all these kind of information in the form of event, it will be logged. What is the reason for this event name is also logged in the event region. Here you could see that it resumed the cluster because the auto resume is enabled for the warehouse. Here you can see that the cluster number is 1. It means that new query came into picture, so that time the warehouse is started provisioning, and that provisioning is done and it started resuming the first cluster. Here if I sort it with the timestamp, then we will see the sequence of operation with respect to the event for each warehouses. So let me just do it in ascending order. Here if you observe carefully, the compute warehouse is having totally 4 records, and if you observe the event name, the create warehouse, then resume warehouse, resume cluster, resume warehouse. We just go in deep with more data. So here if I pick one random data, since I have organized in ascending order, and here you can see that resume warehouse, resume cluster. After the resume warehouse is done, the cluster will be resumed, then the again resume warehouse means maybe here after resuming the cluster, some or maybe some metadata operation has been run, so where it doesn't use the warehouse to run those queries. Example, show, describe function or DDL operation. Then maybe it long lost for the auto suspended time, so because of that it started to stop the warehouse, so which is suspending the warehouse. So here you can see suspend warehouse, it came in 3 operation, because whatever the cluster it resumed, first it needs to be suspended. Suspending the warehouse, it doesn't mean that it will delete the warehouse, it will just go in a stop mode. So where this object will be mainly used is how much the warehouse time is taking to provision the warehouse, and also that here we'll get the other than the query execution time, how much time the warehouse is taking to provision it, and suspending and initializing the new cluster. So all these kind of micro data that we can see it in warehouse event history. The warehouse load history, if you go to the next object, so warehouse load history will be having the average running time by each warehouses with the 5 minutes of timestamp. So in a 5 minutes of timestamp, what is the average running of the warehouse time and the average queuing load? So all these parameter can be found in this warehouse load history. And coming to the next object, warehouse metering history, this is the most important object for calculating the number of credits used by each warehouses with a 1 hour of time interval. Here you could see that warehouse metering history is calculating the warehouse credit for 1 hour by each warehouses. And also it is having the information about the how much the cloud credits has been used and the credits used by the compute and total credits including the credit used by the cloud services as well. And the next is metering daily history. It won't be having a each timestamp data but day based data, but this warehouse metering history will be having a data based on each hour. If you wanted to see the warehouse metering history or the credit billed per day basis, then metering daily history will give the data of that kind. On the 15th date, total credits used are 0.75 credits, and in that cloud services credits are 0.00012, and total credits used are the sum of the credits used by the compute and the cloud credits. And after adjusting the cloud credits, which are 10% of the total compute credits used, so the final credits billed is 0.754. As we know that Snowflake will give the 10% of the total credits used by the compute as a free credits. So in that, if it is falling below the 10%, then so that credits will be exempted. 0.75 credits of 10% is 0.07, which is higher than the total cloud credits used for that day. That's why, so whatever the credits which is being calculated for this credits use, which added the cloud services credits, so that is being deducted. So total billed credits are only the whatever the credits which we use for the compute, only those are being considered. And coming to the objects from the organization usage, the organization usage schema object will have the details on the from all the accounts. But account usage is only particular to only this account. So as we know, the one organization can contain many accounts. If you are having a separate accounts for the non-production account, production account, maybe one for data replication account, see the how much the compute is being utilized by all these accounts, so that time this organization usage schema will be helpful. And to talk on this query acceleration history, since it is a part of the warehouse, when we enable the query acceleration history, so that time it will have the how much the credits has been billed for the query acceleration by the warehouse in the account. Example, this account name is CP4 and there is a one more account called, assume that there is a one more account called CP3. So for that I have enabled query acceleration for one of the warehouse, so that time it will be having two records. And I'll be skipping this rate sheet daily since it won't be having much information on the warehouse level, but it is having information on the effective rate. And if you wanted to know more on this effective rate, you can search it in document. So this is the effective rate where the Snowflake will be billing for the customer. And coming to the usage in currency daily, so this will give information on the account level. As I told, on account level the usage type is compute. Example, it will include all the warehouses. In that, how much the currency has been used. So here it used $3.51. Since it is a free account, so it is showing the free usage, and it is used by warehouse metering. Warehouse metering means whatever the query is being executed by using the warehouse. So it is not specific to any of the warehouse, it is for all the warehouse in the account per day basis. So per day, here if I just sort it with the usage date, as I told, since I'm having a less record, I'm running the full query. Here if you take an example of 14th date, on 14th date total compute is been used, total compute credits are 3.51 and adjustment included for the cloud services from the clouds for the compute are minus 0.01 and cloud services is 0.01. Since I haven't used any usage type of data transfer or application, so those features are not coming over here. However, all kind of usage feature, it could be data transfer, replication, compute, storage, so all these kind of features will be captured per day basis and it will be built based on the currency which has been defined by the account. And coming to the remaining balance daily, if I'm using the capacity based Snowflake model, so that time how much the credits has been allocated for the account and out of which how much the credits has been consumed by the account per day basis. So remaining credits can be easily tracked using this remaining balance daily. So for that it will be useful. Here if you could see that with a free account they'll be giving the 400 credits. On the first date I have used 1 plus credits, so for that remaining balance are 398.89 credits. So that balance credits will be logged in the pre-usage balance. So if it is a capacity base, so remaining dollar amount will be stored over here. And the last, warehouse metering history. So this will have the information with respect to the account level, and the above we saw, and here we saw that the warehouse metering history is giving the for each 1 hour of data how much the credits has been consumed by the warehouses in that time interval. So this organization usage warehouse metering history object, so this will give by the account level. So for this CP4 account in 1 hour interval how much the credits has been consumed. So this is at the account level. As we know that org admin can be only assigned to one of the account, it cannot be assigned to more than one account. So wherever the org admin role will be there, so for that account organization usage schema will be present. Wherever the org admin role will be enabled for that account, example I have a non-production account and the production account, and in the production account I have enabled the org admin to use it. So in that organization usage schema will capture the data for all the accounts, but the objects which are present in the prod for the organization usage will have the data, but in the non-production account even the organization usage object will be present but it won't be having the data. And now we will discuss on the dashboard which are created for these objects. For that I will be going to the dashboard section, and I have created a dashboard called warehouse tracker. And if you wanted to know more details on how to create a dashboard and how to choose charts and what type of charts need to be created and what are the limitations we have and how we can share the dashboard and how role plays important in the dashboard, so all these information you can find it in my Snowflake dashboard playlist. That's it for this video, and we will continue to explore warehouse tracker dashboard in the next series of videos. If you have any questions, please let me know in comments. Thank you for watching this video.